interesting thought, Eric. If you think about all the franchises that are out there, and I know
Hmm.
people on this webinar are looking at lots of different stuff, there are not a whole lot under $30,000, are there?
No, there's not. No, absolutely. Yeah. So
Most of them, start at 50, 60, $70,000. That's just for the franchise fee. And then, of course, you have the investment in equipment, land, property, leases, all kinds of stuff there. And then, of course, there's inventory and employees, lots of hidden expenses. Whereas our license fee really at 28,000 is what it is today, at least. That is a pretty low investment, and it leaves a little room there for you even to spend a little money on whatever else you might need. But as long as somebody's got a computer, I think they're in business with us because you got email and faxes can be received in your email nowadays. There's a phone systems available that allow people to sound like they're huge companies with voicemail branches and extensions and things like that. So really, people don't have to spend a whole lot of more money other than our initial investment fee.
that's correct. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about everything that you're going to be getting from American Business Systems, and then really just the value that you're getting with all these service lines to actually help you. We're going to be sharing some of the service lines that have been around for the 27 years, and then plus some very brand new ones that you're going to want to really pay attention to, because there's some really hot things that are going out there in the medical market out there today. I am having a little bit of trouble with my questions box too, Patrick. It was hidden, and I think I finally found it. So I'll keep up with that. And if I see any particular questions that I can share with both you and I, and then we can certainly tackle those questions as we go through this.
Oh, okay, super.
Yep, opposite. Hey, I ran across this article, and again, folks, if you'll go over into the handouts area, you can go check this out. We even got the web link down there, but you can download your handouts this afternoon, and then go research, what makes a good opportunity. And Patrick, whenever I was getting all of this prepared for us this afternoon, I thought, hey, let me go see who's out there and talks about what makes a good opportunity. And I like the way that this writer had it. It says, evaluate your business concept using the 3 M's before you start up. And I thought we would just share a little bit about that, since it's not coming directly from American Business Systems, but it's coming from Inc. Magazine. I mean, everybody kind of knows who Inc. Magazine is. So
Yeah,
one of the things that he said there was, it talked about the 3 M's that, and I won't read this verbatim. I mean, everybody can read it, but what you need to be looking at is me, the market, and money. And that me would be obviously you in terms of what it's going to work for you. Evaluate the market and we'll look at this, what he has to say about the money. But Patrick, again, in your years of experience, without even going through this yet with Inc. Magazine, what have you always found to what makes a good opportunity?
Well, one of the things he's going to touch on there, to me, is one of the most important things, and that is it a real business? Is there really a market for
Yes.
your service? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things out there that I think of as just fads. They come and go. They're based on something that's really hot today, but will it be around, tomorrow and for the future? Healthcare has just been around for a long time, as long as people are getting sick, and going to doctors. And I think that's why we're growing right now and grew last year, even during a pandemic, because there's a need in the marketplace. There's really a need for our services out there.
You bet. You bet. You can see that last little sentence. He says, all 3 are related, and if any of them are missing, it's likely the concept is not worth developing. So let's see if they all hit on this. First of all, he says, me. The first and foremost, the business needs to fit you personally as the entrepreneur. The concept should correspond with your goals in terms of money and lifestyle, and should be something you have some knowledge of and can be passionate about. Patrick, I know that everybody knows about medical, they've all been to the doctor. They all know that the doctor has to have a claim to get reimbursed on. And I know that some people might be thinking, gosh, I don't know everything about medical billing, but That's the great thing about American business systems is that you're going to have everything at your fingertips of whenever it comes to knowledge about that. But really, I love it when he talks about, certainly something that's good for you to earn some money and to have the lifestyle that you're looking for.
Yeah, Eric, while I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at that little reference there at the bottom of that slide. Did we get the handout actually put over there in the handout section?
Yes, it is. It's out over there. Absolutely.
Okay, so folks, I know that's kind of tiny there on the screen, but if you download the handout over there in the handout section, you'll be able to open this file up and zoom in and see all of these things and look them up if you want to verify that we didn't just make these things up as we go along here. And Eric, I just had an interview interesting this morning. As people go through our training, when they finish the online modules, the training modules, there's 10 of them now, about 15 hours of training, initial training, we call it. Once you've gone through that, we like to touch base with them and just find out, did we do what we said we were going to do? Were you happy with the trainer, with the training, the materials, the handouts, the homework assignments? We just need feedback, so we interview people. And this one, it was a father and his daughter who got into this business. And it was interesting because she was just saying this very thing. She says, I just think that this fits us as a family because, of course, we want to make a lot of money and we think there's money to be made here. And we'll talk about that, of course, a little bit later here in this webinar. And the lifestyle. She says, I want to be able to travel. I don't want to be, locked down in a particular retail location that I've got to show up there at 8 o'clock every morning and not leave till 7 at night. And she said, this one is just ideal for what we want. And as they went through the training, she said that was even confirmed more by our trainer, who is also a licensee herself. And she gave them some great testimonials about how it's helped her in her lifestyle because, she's got a husband that's a stay-at-home dad with two boys, and she is the one that runs this business and has for the past about 10 years now. And she said it's just wonderful for them. They can travel, they can go on vacation anytime they want to. She just takes her laptop with her and runs it from anywhere she's at that has an internet connection.
Yeah, and this is the kind of business in medical billing that can fit that type of lifestyle. So I think you'll be able to find that you can find the money and the value there and then the lifestyle. The second thing he mentions as the 3 M's is the market. And Patrick, you've already kind of mentioned that, but I love what he had to say here. That the second key to an opportunity is whether there's enough market demand to support the idea, as well as large enough market warrants starting the business. Market size also must be examined carefully. Well, Patrick, the market size for medical billing is huge. I mean, because there are a ton of doctors out there that need help.
Yeah, in any one given area, as you know, Eric, we have databases of all the doctors that are out there in the whole United States. You can even look them up by specialty and by zip code and area code and so forth. And when we do some research for people to kind of let them know how big their market is, everybody is always shocked to find out that there's that many medical providers in their area. I don't care if it's even a small little. We got a licensee that this couple lives on the mountaintop in Tennessee, and literally just a little bitty community. But there's enough doctors within driving distance, a reasonable driving distance of an hour or so, that they've built a huge business just working from really out in the middle of nowhere.
Right. You bet. So we know that for this industry, the market is there. It's not like you've looked at an investment. And Patrick, some of the times you've mentioned this in the past, where I think one of those franchise or opportunities was Gum Busters, where you had to go clean gum at the bottom of the table. I don't know how large that market would be, but obviously medical billing is one of those that's going to be there for quite some time.
Yeah, there's some really interesting business opportunities and franchises out there. And then, of course, money, which we're going to get to here, I know, in a second, Eric. But this guy says the third key lies in financial returns. To justify starting a business, the potential returns from the business must outweigh the upfront investment. Isn't that interesting? Because that's what we point out, is that with one client, one medical practice, people can actually earn back their entire investment, our entire $28,000, licensing fee.
That's
So
correct.
as he goes on to say, that means that high enough margins must be made on each product or service delivered, and enough volume can be generated to provide an adequate return on investment for you and your investors. Eric, we sometimes have so much volume of claims that some licensees actually need our help. They literally
Yes.
cannot handle all of those, and they have to outsource that to some of our other licensees in different parts of the country. Now, they still share in the revenue when they do that, but it just shows you that they just can't handle it all. Now, if they're willing to hire employees or contractors who do the actual billing for them, they can build this as big as they want. As you know, Eric, I've interviewed licensees that have 50, 60, even 100 doctors that they're doing the billing for. And of
Right.
course, they can't do all that by themselves. They have to outsource that. But it's a huge market, and there's lots of margin to be made here because, well, most of it's just your labor. If you're doing all the billing yourself, as we'll see here in a second, you can handle 4 or 5 doctors yourself and never have to hire anybody else and still make a huge amount of money.
That's right. Well, talking about the market, we thought we'd put up a couple of articles here. Again, folks, you can go research these articles yourself. But this one says, this one's back almost a year ago, but you can see that the annual growth in this is going to be through 2028. National health spending growth projected to be at 5.4% annually through 2028. And so, folks, this whole thing's not going away. And Patrick, you and I have been doing webinars for a long time, and this is what we keep seeing year after year in articles, that the healthcare is just absolutely not going away.
Yeah, it says that as it has over the past several decades, healthcare spending is expected to grow on average more rapidly than the rest of the economy. So, Eric, I just tell people, look, if you're really truly researching and doing your due diligence on various businesses out there, ask yourself, how many of them are going to have a almost 40% growth rate for the next 7 years?
Right.
That's what that is. That 5.4% over 7 years is another 35 to 40% growth.
Right.
It's unheard of. And of course, it beats all the other things that are happening out there. I'd hate to be right now in travel, or I'd hate to own a movie theater or a restaurant. You
Right.
know, it's just not good.
Of a movie theater. Yeah, that's just unbelievable. That's I mean, movie theaters have just shut down too as well. That is unbelievable. So
Yep.
let's talk about
in-home entertainment systems. They're selling like hotcakes, because people want to just, since I got to stay home, I might as well be watching a nice big screen QLED, 80-inch TV screen.
You bet. So let's talk real briefly about the income potential that a licensee can make and then have here. And so, folks, what we wanted you to do is, if you haven't done this already, at the website at avsystems.com, you can go to there, and up at the top of the page, you'll find out where there's the income calculator, and that's where we are right now. Now, we have put in the number of doctors, which obviously you can put in one doctor if you like, but we put the average number of doctors that our licensees have, which is about 5. You got some that have 3 or 4, then you have some that have 6, 8, 9. So if you kind of take that whole average across the board, you're going to average out about the number of 5 doctors per licensee. And then each of those doctors are seeing a number of patients per day. We put in, again, a fairly low number there, which is about 20 patients a day that people are going to see. And then they're obviously open for at least 5 days a week. Now, the typical billing for a licensee, they're going to charge anywhere from 6, 7, maybe 8%. So we put in again, the average amount percent that they're going to be billing for of a claim of about $150. Once you do that, we're going to go ahead and click on the submit here. Patrick, that's a fairly decent income, as you can see it. Now, again, folks, that's billing for 5 doctors there. So if you subtracted out 4 of those, and you're going to find out that you just wanted to get just that one doctor, you're going to clearly see that you have well earned more than $30,000 a year just with one client.
Yes, that's a good point, Eric. If we went back and just used the one doctor and left everything else the same, It is. It's about $31,000 that you'd earn off of that one medical office. And folks, here's the disclaimer. The small print is that not everybody is going to do this, of course. It's just like any other business that's out there. Some people take a Subway sandwich shop and they run it right. They promote it correctly. They keep it clean. They hire good people, and that grows, and they can, buy 2 or 3 or 4 more of those Subway sandwich shops. There's others who, after being in business for 9 months, go out of business. I had one here locally that did that, Eric, and I don't know how a franchise goes out of business because they're pretty, well known, and everybody knows what a Subway sandwich is nowadays. But it does happen. So the disclaimer is just like on a weight loss ad. Not everybody loses 150 pounds. You may not make $273,000 a year, but it's still just numbers for you to go back and play with. That's why we leave it up to you to punch the numbers in there that you want and just, play with it a little bit, see what you can earn.
You're correct. And so what I did, folks, and you can do the same thing, take that 273,000 and divide that by 5, and that's going to come out to $54,600 a year. Now, Patrick, I think if I'm not mistaken, the investment to get in is still about $28,000. Well, the difference between 28,000 and the 54,600, right there, you've got about a $26,000 profit on top of your return on your investment already with just one doctor. So, folks, you can clearly see that with one doctor, you got your return on investment done pretty well.
Some will do better.
Yep.
Some won't do as good. That's the disclaimer. And everybody knows that running a business is up to you, the effort that you put in and the time. If you're working this part-time, you may not want 5 doctors. You might just like to have 1 or 2, and that may provide all the income you need.
You bet. Folks, remember, we're about a third way through the webinar this afternoon. So if you got any questions, feel free to ask us any questions that you want to. Just type in the question box. I'm monitoring that. I'm going to move on here. One of the great opportunities that American Business Systems does have, that it's not just billing. There is so many different opportunities to strike from. Obviously, folks, the top one up there, everybody knows because of the COVID pandemic that we're still under, telehealth is huge. But then with telehealth is broken off in just more than just what you would see as an office visit with a doctor via Zoom or anything else. But it's actually branched off in some new areas called virtual care, and we're going to share some of that. Patrick, we run out of boxes to put up here on the screen. It's almost like you have to open up the box to see what's in the other box.
Yeah, Eric, let me just address while we're looking at this picture, because for some people who are on this webinar for the first time, it might be overwhelming thinking that, I've got to learn about all these other things. No, these are all optional services that we've come up with over the years, added to our package. So in addition to the money you just saw that you could make doing the billing for a doctor, billing insurance companies and government agencies, you can also offer all of these services. Now, we go into detail on our website and on our virtual brochure and in our research guide and so forth into all of these services. But the point is, folks, that these are all optional. You don't have to offer any of these if you don't want to, except, the iClaim and EMRX. That's our billing system and our electronic medical record system down there in the bottom right. All the others are optional, but we came up with them because there are doctors who think that they have their billing under control. They don't have any desire to even speak with anybody about outsourcing their billing, or maybe they've already outsourced it and they're happy. But they may be having a problem understanding how to collect the money from their patients, for example. That's our quick collect system that you see there. They may not know how to market and get patients to come back in on a regular basis. That's our auto card service that we have for them. And we go on and on with all of these services, folks. Believe me, they're all things that doctors would like to have and that you can make money on as well. So we call these increased opportunity. They're multiple streams of income, really, aren't they, Eric?
They really are. And again, each of these could be its own standalone business opportunity. And again, everything from, you can see here, even though that we're showing you some of the marketing material that you're going to get, everything from, Compliancy Guard to, again, Auto Card to Audit Guard to Choice Pay, Code Right, iDocs Now. We'll get into some of the virtual care stuff here in a moment. Any of these could be its own standalone. So you're getting more than just one business or one, what you would think, folks, as one service line. You've got several different ones and all these different verticals that are actually happening. And I wanted to put this up here because we already talked about this, but Patrick, you know as well as I do that when disturbances happen in the market, new technology comes around and new opportunities come around. And in the beginning of 2020, and almost a year ago now, all of us here in the United States, we all understood that we had COVID come around. It disrupted the market, but not only did it disrupt the market on a negative side, it really disrupted the market on a positive side. And that's one of the great things, again, that ABS has been able to keep up with. Patrick, it's just amazing, all these opportunities that actually come to American business systems. I mean, ABS didn't really have to go looking for new opportunities, as I remember in the young days of ABS, but people actually know who ABS is, and they actually come to you and say, hey, we've got something that you and your licensees might be interested in.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you've been around and you've been the leader in your industry for 27 years, as we have. That's what happens. People come to you, they find you, and they say, look, we noticed that you have all these other services. We have a service here that we think might be of interest to you and your licensees to offer to doctors. And so they'll pitch that to us. They'll go through it with us and show the advantages and the money that can be made. And this is one of them. Eric, you, of course, did the initial research and are still working on this one. The virtual care really is hot right now. You want to kind of explain a little bit about what that's all about?
You bet. And I'm going to also answer Pamela's question here that, yes, everything that you've seen there on screen is available for you as a business. So that you're getting, like I said, not just the one business, you're getting several businesses all together.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Eric. Our license fee of $28,000 is a one-time lifetime fee. People never pay American Business Systems another penny after they've invested with us and gone through our training. They then have access to our lifetime support. They have access to our 24/7 licensee website that's chock full of all kinds of other training and marketing materials and so forth. That's all available to our licensees, and the ongoing training that we do for licensees on a regular basis at no additional cost. There is no additional cost for any of those services. They're all included in that one-time license fee.
Exactly. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about telemedicine and how telemedicine kind of led into what we were just talking there about the virtual care and the virtual care opportunity. Obviously, we know that private practices needed to turn to telemedicine to offset the coronavirus dip, and they really did. And that was a big boom for the telehealth market. But then from there, using telehealth for a more effective continuum of care. And folks, you can see this is where it's really gone. And we pulled this article back in right first there of December. I think actually Adam found this article. And right underneath where you see the little Facebook and the Twitter and the LinkedIn sign, the Pinterest and the email, it says CCM and RPM can improve outcomes, the patient experience, and your bottom line. Let me share with you what those initials stand for. CCM stands for chronic care management, and RPM stands for remote patient monitoring. Those are, the doctors are utilizing this part of telehealth or virtual care, which really doesn't have to involve the telehealth part of it either. This is something that, let's say that a cardiologist wants to monitor a group of patients that might be struggling with their blood pressure, or an internal medicine doctor wants to monitor a group of patients with their diabetes and making sure their blood sugar is fine. That's what we're talking about there. And the great thing about it is that's reimbursable by Medicare to those doctors. And we're going to run through some of these numbers here that I think you're going to be kind of shocked about. But here is the virtual care strategy now that has been offered to American business systems, using technology to take better care of patients and your bottom line. This is another area in which you can now market your business, whether it's annual wellness visits that can be done remotely, advanced care planning, chronic care management right there, all the way down to wound care management, as you can see there. Now, let me tell you, this is not something that you have to do. Neither does the doctor have to do that. One of our partners, our strategic partners, technology partners, actually has this service to offer to the doctors. And the great thing about it is, you talk about money as a certified medical revenue manager, you can offer these doctors actually greater income without even trying to have to do their billing by that first. So imagine that you're able to lead in of just showing the doctor where they can help with their bottom line. I've also pulled this article too, Patrick. This one came back in November, how remote patient monitoring is changing the practice of cardiology. Now, folks, again, you can go find this article, go find out in your handouts, and you're gonna see what's happening here. And you can see that evolving technology is altering the way healthcare is delivered. Remote patient monitoring is leading a transformation in primary and specialty care settings. Now, this is written by an attorney who is actually helping doctors get involved in remote patient monitoring. So, folks, this is an amazing opportunity for you as an ABS licensee. And talk about being one of the best business investments for under $30,000. This service alone can make you your return on investment within the first year. It is just flat out amazing. So let's talk about the estimated economic impact it's actually going to have for a practice. So,
hey, Eric,
yes.
Before you go into that, these are good numbers to look at, by the way, folks. But let me just mention this. This service, this remote patient monitoring, is so profitable for doctors and for you as a licensee of American Business Systems that we considered very carefully before adding this to our package. We could have created this as a separate, standalone business opportunity because of the money that can be made. It will blow you away once you wrap your head around it. But basically, folks, it's just using technology, including telehealth technology, but other ways of monitoring a patient remotely so they don't have to come into the doctor's office every month. They can simply be visited virtually with a nurse practitioner or a nurse, a registered nurse. Anybody can handle this for the doctor. It doesn't have to be the doctor themselves, because again, you're just checking in with the patient, you're monitoring, you're taking some tests, and we have the technology to be able to do that even remotely. It just blows me away. I actually had a little overnight stay in the hospital last year, Eric, as you know, and the doctor was wheeled in on a, they had this big, huge monitor that they wheeled in, and they said, the doctor wants to visit with you. They turned it on, and there he was, virtually just working from his office. And I was sitting there in the hospital bed. And at one point, the doctor said, now, I'd like to have the nurse actually take your, monitor your heart here for me. So she pulls out this, stethoscope that was hooked up to that computer and monitored me, and he told her where to put it, and then he was monitoring it live right across the internet. It's just fantastic what can be done nowadays.
And that is the amazing thing. But folks, this is that technology. That's what I'm saying. That technology is out there and it's increasing. But for the patients that need to be monitored for blood pressure or for what you call CHF, which is chronic heart failure, or any of the issues out there, this is very, very important. Just to kind of give you again, for instance, of what kind of money can be made for that particular practice. If a doctor is monitoring a patient with remote patient monitoring and chronic care management, you can see per patient that's going to bring in $840 a year per patient. Well, again, you divide that out into a year's time. that's extra revenue that the doctor doesn't have to do really anything for, because again, remember, we've got a technology partner out there that actually does the remote monitoring for the doctor, actually gets the doctor to the patients, the devices to be monitored. And again, all of this is reimbursable by Medicare. And then when you pull all that together, if one doctor has 250 patients on those services, that's $210,000 a year extra. Patrick, unbelievably, we actually ran some numbers for a cardiologist that was wanting just to do remote patient monitoring. And the numbers were staggering. We're talking over $1 million more in revenue for a cardiologist when he was going to do remote patient monitoring for a group of his Medicare patients. And so, folks, if you can imagine, that's without doing any of the doctor's billing. So let's talk about what kind of revenue that you're going to be able to make. If you took those same patients that you're going to be helping that doctor on board and do some work there, there's a little bit of work that you're going to have to do. It's just really just kind of managing some of the process there. You're making $12.50 per patient per month. Well, that's $3,250 a month to you. And then over a 12-month period, that's $37,500 back to you. And again, Patrick, that well covers, as you said, you could have started this whole remote patient monitoring as a separate business opportunity, but you were so gracious to add this into the licensees just on top of what they could make on billing.
Well, and let's talk about that money, because some people may not have caught that the doctor is earning this money, of course, because all of this is billable to Medicare and some insurance companies, right? So that's where the money comes from, and that's where your money comes from as a licensee of American Business System. So this revenue that you're looking at here is actually being paid to you by our strategic partner who set this up and runs this and monitors the patients for the doctor. And they will send you a check basically for your, $3,250 a month that's coming in for those 250 patients. Now, Eric, that's a low number for a general practitioner. Most practitioners, if they've been in business any time at all, probably have 1,000 patients.
Oh yes, that's what we're seeing. Absolutely, you're bet. So if you double that, to 500 patients, well, you're well over. You're close to, well, you're over $70,000 just right there with just doubling that with the doctor. And that's just with one doctor. And that's why, again, folks, when we talk about this is really the best business investment for under $30,000, we're really, really serious about it. Let's keep going here because, again, we're going to run out of time here. But someone was asking the question, Arvid, before we go on, is the $28,000 fee meant for a single user license, or if you've got another person? If you are doing this with another person and you're partnering with that person, you guys can, I believe, work that together. Just make sure you get back with your ABS rep that you're working with. But if you got a partner working with you, you're looking to purchase one license together.
Yes, that's right. There's no extra charges for additional users, or what they sometimes refer to in software as seats. Once you've paid that license fee, folks, that is all inclusive, and you can have as many people using the system as you wish at no additional cost. Now, as you add doctors and practices to your practice, each one of those doctors, of course, are going to be paying an access fee to access the system. That's where you make money and we make money on that, as well as the billing itself, of course. And but there's no additional things that you're paying out of your pocket for anything.
Yeah, that's correct. Again, folks, the telehealth is booming. I mean, we go article after article, and again, we don't want to just drive this into the ground, but we do want to make a point here that outside of the medical billing side of it, there are all these other services, again, we haven't even touched on. But during what you're getting here at American Business Systems, again, being the best business investment under $30,000, you really are being trained and certified. Now, if you remember, one of the 3 M's that individual wrote for the Inc. magazine was that you have somewhat of a knowledge of this business. What happens is when you go through this training, you are actually trained as a revenue a medical revenue manager, a certified medical revenue manager, and that's what you get right at the get-go. But folks, it even goes further than that, and it's something that's hard to, again, wrap your arms around sometimes, because once you become part of American Business Systems, you're actually part of an organization that, again, has been in business for over 27 years. And that's what you're getting. You're getting longevity. You're getting expertise from the support team, or from some of the other licensees. So Patrick, it's just more than just getting a certification as a medical revenue manager. It's all the other parts that's come along with that as well.
That's right. And this organization, MRMA is the acronym for it, MRMAA, Medical Revenue Manager Association of America. This organization was set up with us and our strategic partners to give the credibility and the certification that our people need when they're out in the marketplace. Folks, you don't mention American Business Systems to the doctors, even though we are the ones that have trained you. We've sold you the license, so to speak, and we do the support. It's an organization outside of ABS. It's this MRMA. They can actually go to mrma.org, and you can too, and read all about this organization. And wait till you see the lineup in our advisory board, for example. We've got all the head presidents and CEOs of all of our strategic partners out there, as well as some of our own licensees who have volunteered to be on that board. But once you've graduated, as Eric's showing you here, you get a certificate from us that has your name on it that says you are a certified medical revenue manager. So folks, people are putting this, you'll see this all over the web already, that some of our licensees are using this on their Facebook page, on their business card. You sign everything in every email with your name, comma, CMRM, a certified medical revenue manager. That's your designation. So it's a real solid way to get credibility by going through our training, which again is only about 15 hours of initial training. You can get that certification pretty fast.
Right, absolutely. And again, the support that you're getting, what we're showing you right now is, folks, that if you're doing any due diligence out there and you're looking at support, you really do need to ask for what does your support give you? And the licensee support site, which is a privately entry into that through the internet. It's a place where once you get your login, once you become a licensee, you get your login here. But you can see here that there's over 300 business documents, and a lot of that, Patrick, has been written by attorneys, scoured by attorneys, and looking through all of that, everything from proposals to the actual licensing agreements that you're going to be doing with the doctors. Hundreds of hours of in-depth training. I know that even this Friday, I believe you're having an in-depth training for licensees. And again, like you said, there's no additional cost. So folks, again, we could go down level by level, but then Patrick, I mean, what else do you want to say about the licensee support side? It's huge right here.
Well, it's been out there for about 15 years now. We actually started about 15 years ago. And Eric, as it grows, of course, we don't take anything down. The history is all out there. When you log in, you'll see over on the right-hand side, every month that we've had that up there. And of course, new documents are uploaded, new training webinars are uploaded there. You've got over 100 hours of in-depth video training in all kinds of other subjects. This is alone worth the $28,000. We've put more than $28,000, Eric, in those 300 business documents. Well, you know what I paid in legal fees to just make sure that all of this is what it needs to be. All Absolutely. Of this is available to every licensee, and it's open 24/7. And well, it's lifetime. We don't charge any renewal fees or support fees of any kind. Folks, I don't believe in nickel and diming people to death. Once they've paid our initial fee, they're going to get our support, because here's a little secret now. I'll let you see behind the scenes. All those services that you saw earlier, all those ancillary services, we as a company make money on all those. So of course we want you to grow and have all the support you need, because the more money you make, the more we make as a company.
Absolutely. Well, one of the last things I wanted to share with everybody is that last one down here. You see it says done for you webinars. Folks, let me explain to you what that is. Let me show you here. We actually do webinars for our licensees. And what I mean by that is we are the there are people here that are the subject matter experts on HIPAA, on coding, on virtual care, all these different subject matters. And so what we do ever so often, we'll put out a webinar saying, hey, we're going to let everybody know that's with ABS, which is actually under MIRMA. And MIRMA is the one that actually does these webinars, and it gives you an opportunity to invite your doctors to a live webinar. They can ask their questions, and then at the end of the webinar, we're going to address and have those people go back to the individual that invited them to the webinar, just like what we're doing today. So when you get through with the webinar today, we're going to say, hey, if you got any questions, get back with the individual that you've been working with here at ABS. Just the flip side of that, we're going to be saying on here, we're going to say, hey, if you've been invited to this webinar, please get back with the billing company that invited you here today, and they're going to go back to you again. So Patrick, this is ingenious outside of the books and everything else that you're doing, an ingenious way to help licensees actually get their first clients.
Yeah, Eric, I think you may have it on pause because we're not looking at the done for you webinar slide. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. But as you can see, folks, we've spent a lot of time and money developing this flyer that you see on the left, of course, is developed so that you can put your name and logo and contact information on it. That's what you use to get people to come to the webinar. Then we go through the webinar, and we, I say we, MIRMA, the organization we talked about earlier, they are the ones that actually present this information to your practices that are out there. And again, they don't mention their name, the MIRMA name. They don't mention American Business Systems. It's all about you and pointing the doctor or the office manager back to you so that they get back with you and hopefully set up an appointment to talk to you about your what we call a practice revenue survey.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, if that's not good enough, you've got Dr. Vicki Rachner as a business partner. Patrick, why don't you explain what that means?
Yeah, folks, a few years back, it's probably been 5 or 6 years now, I was actually looking for a doctor that could join our advisory board. I ran across Dr. Vicki Rachner, and she just happens to be a retired general surgeon who's written, a dozen different books there, it looks like on the screen. She's been interviewed on from USA Today, Time Magazine, I mean, all sorts of, media sources that she's been on. She speaks to doctor groups all over the United States. And so she said, Patrick, I think we could partner together and I could actually help your licensees because what they need out there in the marketplace is credibility. Well, there's nothing more credible, folks, than you to tell a doctor that you've actually partnered with a doctor and that you've actually written the forward to one of the books that she's published. The one on the left there, you see me and Vicki Rachner wrote that book together, and you can have your name down there at the bottom of that book as the person who wrote the forward. Now, you can write a forward if you want to, if you're a good enough writer. If you're not, we have a forward already written, of course, that you can just put your name and contact information there at the end of the forward, and it just makes a wonderful marketing tool because your name is right there on the front cover with the doctor. Eric, it doesn't get any more powerful than that from a credibility standpoint.
No, and that's what you need. So imagine, folks, that you've got a book that you've got your name on the front cover of. You know, whether you want to write your own forward to the book or utilize it or, change up the one that's already there. And then also on top of that, these webinars that we'll actually be doing for you. On top of that, you've got the virtual care, which is, again, one of the hottest topics out there in the medical field right now. To get you, everybody's asking, Patrick, how do I get my foot in the door? Folks, if you could just use the 3 things that we've talked about already, the book, the webinar, and your entry into any medical practice right now with remote patient monitoring or chronic care management, I would have to say this may not be the business for you. But I'm telling you, if you use the strategies, use what we've got here for you, you're going to find yourself very successful very quickly. And then reaching that goal for yourself of getting that return on investment back to you. That's one of your most important parts. And that's what we're striving for to help you out here with.
Yeah, because if we can help you get that first doctor, that basically will guarantee that you're going to receive your return on your investment in our business. And that's just the start. That's just where it begins. And I'm going to interview a licensee next week, Eric, as you mentioned at the beginning of this webinar,
Right.
that has done exactly what we told her to do, and she's built a great business for her and her family. By the way, the book, as you can see there, we teach you not just to give this book to a doctor, but we teach you how to get it in the hands of the doctor, past the gatekeeper, the office manager, right into the hands of the doctor, him or herself. And we show you how to guarantee that the doctor's going to open the book. You see those little yellow tabs there? We're going to teach you in our training exactly what pages to go to and how to mark up and highlight certain passages on those pages, and then put the little yellow tabs on there. So the doctor doesn't even have to read the whole book. They just flip through and read these highlighted passages that all point out their need for you and your services. It's a great marketing idea.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we're getting just about here to the end. So again, I'm monitoring any questions here. It looks like we've got one. How do we get the books? Pamela, the books will come to you whenever you sign up as a licensee. But get back with the person that you're working with and see maybe if we can get a digital copy out to you if you want to just kind of thumb through it yourself. But that's a pretty powerful thing that you want to be able to get. And folks, again,
it's out there on Amazon. Yeah, the book is on Amazon, but don't spend money on the book. Just ask your ABS rep that you've been dealing with who invited you to this webinar. Just say, I'd like a copy of that Thriving Medical Practice book, and we'll send that to you electronically so you can see that.
Absolutely. Folks, we're going to go through these next few slides pretty quickly because we kind of went through the big meat of everything here of why this seems to be a very good business opportunity under 30 grand. Again, what you're getting with all of the kind of getting what Pamela is asking, what are you getting for the 30,000? Again, you're getting over 2,000 of marketing. Again, you're getting the books, you're getting all of these new updated. There's even a new one for virtual care that we haven't even gotten put up here. We haven't even put up here on a slide deck yet. But everything from the telehealth to code write, all of these different services. Patrick, I know that you want to spend a little bit of time on kind of the steps forward of what to take, and we want to talk about the money back guarantee. So I'm just going to kind of step through these last few here just pretty quickly. Again, folks, every one of these services, whether it's, again, we're going to use this audit guard. This goes hand in hand again with the code write. For those that are looking to get into medical billing, you're maybe a little concerned about whether you need to know coding or not. We have professional coders for you, again, as one of our technology partners, that you'll be able to do any coding for any doctor, any specialty. You're not going to have to worry about it. Again, get back with your ABS rep that you're working with, and they'll go in a lot more detail on each of these services. Patrick, I'm going to get over here again as we kind of wrap up here. Why don't you kind of just share your personal heart with everybody and express to them, why this business, again, is a great investment under 30,000.
Yeah, and while I do that, Eric, I think I'll go ahead and just turn on my webcam just so I can look at everybody and they can see that this is live. Let's see, I've got the little thing here on my computer. There we go. All right, so as you can see here, just like Eric is working out of his home, I'm here at my home. And folks, I started this business with my wife back in the early 90s. We actually started doing medical billing for doctors back then. It was a tough go because nobody was doing it at the time to speak of. This has been, 27, 30 years ago. And yet we built this business to the point where it was so profitable that we basically were having people ask us, how did you do that? How did you start making enough money to buy a new home, cars? You never leave the house. We actually had one of our relatives ask, what kind of, drugs are you selling out on the street to make this kind of money? Because we were doing really well. And so it dawned on me at one point that people wanted to know how this could be done. And since we had gone through 4 or 5 years of learning on our own and spending the time and money to learn, I thought, well, I can put together a training package and some marketing materials that would help people get started a whole lot quicker and easier than we did. So that's what we did. We started enrolling people and licensing this whole package and all of our technology back in 1994, and here we are today. So folks, That's why I, at one point, said I'm going to put on here a lifetime, support, and I'm going to put on here a money back guarantee. Now, my staff nearly went wacko when I did this, Eric, because they didn't understand how we could get people through our training, let people see all of our proprietary information, and then even after going through the modules, the 15 hours of initial training, if they decided they did not want to be in this business, they could still ask for 100% of their money back. We can do that, and we have done it, by the way. Very few over the past 27 years have asked for a refund, but it's less than 0.5%, if you're just wondering. And it just means, folks, that we really would be willing to do that if somebody just decided, hey, I just didn't like this. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I want my money back. We just do that without any questions asked, basically. So that's in place for everybody who comes through our training, just so you feel more comfortable about making that decision. Because I know it's a lot of money for a lot of people. It's a big decision, but this should relax you to make you think that, oh, well, if the company believes that much in what they do to give people's money back if they want it, then they must have something that's real.
That's right. Hey, I'm going to answer one question here, and then we're going to get into these final steps here. What some steps that you might want to take? But Dan's asking a great question. He goes, if someone already has a biller, does your system work in providing other ancillary services like the telehealth and virtual care for a separate percentage? That's exactly correct, Dan. I mean, that's why it's more than just, again, the billing, because what you can do just by getting in with the doctor and building that relationship, maybe through one of the ancillary services, whether it's CodeWrite or Audit Guard or even the virtual care part of it, you're going to build that relationship. And building that relationship, remember, people do business with the people that they know, like, and trust. And if you're adding another $250,000 to that doctor's bottom line, the chances are going to be very high that you're going to be able to win that billing too as well. So good thought there, Dan. Appreciate it. Patrick, let's go. I think we've got 6 steps now that we kind of reach out to kind of go through here.
Yeah, the first is our research guide. Now, you may have already gotten this from the ABS rep that you've been listening to and talking to and maybe getting emails from. This research guide is over 50 pages of information that you won't find on our website. So be sure and ask them for that if you haven't gotten it already. You'll get the phone number here in just a second on the screen. Then be sure and browse our YouTube channel. We have a channel out there that has literally hundreds of, I think there's about 200 or 300 videos out there, Eric, that people can watch. These are previous webinars like this one that we put out there and interviews with existing licensees. And that brings up point number 3. Ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. We'll give you a list of people's names and contact information that have agreed to take phone calls. These are people that have gone through the same thing you're going through with your due diligence. They've completed our training, they've gotten certified, and they've actually started building their own business. And we can let you talk to those people from coast to coast. Then be sure and ask for a live demo. Folks, our software is a cloud-based system. That means it doesn't come on a CD. You don't have to download it. It's just out there. And we're going to give you a place to go log in and start using it. And you can see a live demo of that from your ABS rep. We'll take you through it step by step, take as much time as you want to ask all the questions you want. Then review the purchase agreement and the funding instructions. Your ABS rep will give that to you, of course, as well as you get to a certain point where you're ready to move forward. And then last but not least, you'll want to schedule, send in that agreement and the funding, and then schedule your training. Yeah, you'll be able to talk specifically directly with the instructor that will be teaching you, and that person will work with you on their schedule and your schedule to work in the training to fit your schedule. Now, folks, that's not like a classroom. It's not like a Zoom meeting with a dozen other people. This is you and the instructor. Now, you can have one other person on there with you, like a spouse or a partner. They can be, somewhere else in the world. Doesn't matter. They'll all log in. You'll log at the same time and go through the training together. That's done one-on-one with that instructor. Now, we used to have people, remember, Eric, it was just hard to believe, but it's a little over a year ago that we were having people fly down here, spend a week at a hotel, and go through the training. Well, right before the pandemic hit, about 3 months before, we decided to go virtual on our training. That was a good timing, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I'm going to put up this, Patrick. This is the webinar that you're doing next week. Why don't you talk about Jana and then some of the things you guys are going to be talking about?
Yeah, Jana Hammond. She's done a fantastic job. Her and her husband went through our training. This has been a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I think. And they just built a tremendous business. They're doing so well that she agreed to do an interview with me next week. So we'll have a live interview with Jana, and you'll be able to type in questions asking her the same questions you might ask if you call her up and talk to her live. But this will be a live webinar next Wednesday, same time, 4 p.m. Central Time. So there's a link there at the bottom of this slide that I think Eric can put in the chat window.
I
And it'll
did.
good.
I did. I've
That's
already
probably
got it
come
there.
in. It's probably in your question box or your chat box if you're on a mobile device. And just go ahead and click that right now. You can register for this webinar for next week. Make sure you get a seat because the seats are limited in these webinars. But that way you'll be registered, and even if you can't make it, it's okay because we'll send you a link to the recording of it.
You bet. I'm going to put this last slide up here so people have a phone number. If you want to give us a call, 866-565-8413. Patrick, it's been a pleasure doing this webinar with you this afternoon. I mean, that hour went by fast.
It did. Well, Eric, thank you. If we didn't get to your questions today, folks, for some reason, those questions are forwarded on to your ABS rep, and they will basically get back with you and make sure that you get all your questions answered. If not, you can call that number if you're not sure who your rep is and just ask, who is my ABS rep, if somehow you've lost the emails or can't find their name. Or just email us at info@absystems.com and say, hey, I don't know who my rep is, but I want the research guide, I want the owner reference list and some other stuff, a demo and the purchase agreement and everything, and they'll get all that to you. Eric, thanks for putting this together. Good information.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great afternoon. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, bye-bye.